Hey, it's John. Welcome back to the Woodshed. This is episode number 12, where we're going to be talking about what I'm calling tritonic rhythms. And so that is, of course, rhythms that are related to the tritone interval. And I was planning on doing this video a while ago, but I let it fall through the cracks, and I was inspired to do it because the very interesting YouTuber who focuses on spectralism and just intonation and sort of that microtonal material, Manfish, that's with two N's and two H's, he did a video about four different types of tritones that you would get from the combination of prime relations. And so I want to just take that exact content pretty much and then put it into the rhythmic sort of space instead of in pitch space. So, first of all, a lot of people have all these feelings about the tritone and how it's evil and how the church banned it. Neely does have a good video about that if you are interested in sort of debunking that. But the tritone as we know it in Western music, usually, if you think about a piano, it's C to F sharp or F sharp to C. It's this thing where it's the same whichever way you stack it. You could keep on repeating it. It's 6 semitones apart. So C will go to F sharp, we'll go to C, we'll go to F sharp, we'll go to C, etc. But we can also transpose that anywhere in the 12 tones that we want. And so what happens is we have this kind of generic relationship of the tritone. And if we move it into just intonation, then there are actually a number of sort of less generic, like more specific ways to tune that interval. And most people will say, "Oh, but the tritone sounds out of tune." But well, we're big boys and big girls, so we're gonna just treat this like adults and talk about some some ratios here. So basically, Manfish, he outlines four of them, and they are the 11 against 8, or 8 against 11, 5 and 7, 7 and 10, and 13 and 9. And so I've made some notations of these where I've put them into the rhythmic landscape. And so to start with 11 over 9, basically what we're saying is, the bottom pitch, essentially the lower pitch, in this case is going to be the lower pulse, is going to have 8 divisions of a given fundamental period. So, if we say we have 1 second and you fit 8 notes into that second, then the top note or the top pulse will be 11/8 faster. So it's 1.375 times faster. So in that same second, we'll fit 11 notes. And so it basically would look like this. Okay. And so, this is notated one way, and you could actually, like I'm putting it as a tuplet over 8 eighth notes, but you could do the same thing by saying 11 eighth notes or 11, notes of whatever sort, and then do a tuplet of 8 in the space of 11. So you can treat this either way, and basically one is the reciprocal of the other. But note that these reciprocals don't repeat the same way that our generic tempered tritone does on a piano, where it's 6 semitones no matter what. This way, if you kept on stacking this, it wouldn't repeat. So something to note that's interesting. The next one that he spells out for us is 7 over 5. And so again, it's if you have a given fundamental, you split it into 5 even pulses, and then you do another 7 pulses that are 7/5 faster. So that's 1.4 something times faster, basically. And then we can do the next one, or we can actually take the reciprocal of that, which is, 5 and 7. So basically take your space, divide it into 7, and then do something that is 5/7 the speed of that. So that's just reciprocal. And the next one, very similar. Instead of 5 and 7 or 7 and 5, it's going to be 10 and 7. So this one is one of the more complicated ones. and it gets us basically this long irrational number, or I guess it's a real number. I don't know if it's an irrational number. Don't quote me on that. But so in this case, it's going to be taking your fundamental, splitting it into 7, and then in that same space fitting 10, which in this case would mean that it's going 10/7 the speed. So it's 1.4 something the speed of the bottom pulse, or sort of tone, if you will. And of course we can take the reciprocal of that. So divide it into 10 beats, and then in the space of those 10 beats, do 7 pulses. Now, lastly, this one's a juicy one, and it is 13 and 9. So split your fundamental into 9, and then also split that fundamental into 13. That 13 is going to go 13/9 faster in terms of speed. And you could do the same thing. Take 13 beats, 13 even beats for the fundamental, and then do 9 beats in the space of that. So that is the reciprocal, and that would be 9/13 the speed. Okay, so why am I talking about these as sort of tones? Like I keep on slipping up and saying this tone or this pitch instead of this tempo or this pulse or whatever. And that's because we're talking about something that Manfish put in terms of just intonation, but this is also the same thing as a polyrhythm, basically. And so there are a number of ways that we can notate this. And so I've actually done another way to notate this, which is just to, essentially treat it all as tuplets. So for your 11 and 8, 8 in the space of 1 and 11 in the space of 1. The 1 is your fundamental. And this is it doesn't work out as well when you go between all of them because they change tempo so drastically, because, the first one is 88, units that you need to create the polyrhythm, like 88 subunits. Next one is 35 subunits. So it's going to be 35 88ths of the tempo, basically. So it's significantly slower. But the way that I was phrasing it from the beginning, if we have this common sort of unit, you actually can barely tell when it switches. You just hear it very slowly speeding up. It would sound like this. So, I don't know. I think that's an interesting way to just move an entire realm of tuning theory into the rhythmic space. Rhythm is something that we can do. We can make it physical. We can, embody it. We can execute that stuff as a performer. You can't really do that with tone the same way. Like I can't do this that effectively on my guitar because I can't tune everything that precisely. It's cut out for a synthesizer, for instance. Or like if you listen to Mark Sabat's music, then, he's doing this type of stuff and you have to develop a new notation for it. And so it doesn't have the same accessibility as doing it in the rhythmic space. So I just thought that this is an interesting comparison to draw. And I wanted to spell out some of these, tritonic rhythms. And in the future, I'll try to put up some etudes that follow these rhythms and are a little bit easier to play so you can try to get into your fingers. But anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.